So now we come to Sky Sanctuary, which is honestly the most platforming-like level in the game. As in, it's easily got the most platforming out of any level. Well, I guess some later levels would have some platforming. And I'm talking about the 3D variety. That's another thing. Because something that the boost games are often criticized for is the lack of 3D platforming. Although, to be honest, I think they're better off for that, because with the kind of controls you have in 3D with the boost gameplay, where it controls kind of stiff, especially if you're using the control pad, which, to be fair, is really the best way to go about it when you're constantly switching from 2D to 3D. Because it's like, okay, the control pad is the best way to control in 2D. Because you can just press one of the 4 directions. So it's not like it's easy to screw up. And with an analog stick, you might have the problem where it registers you trying to hold up or down or something when you don't want to. So it's best to use the control pad for 2D, even if it is the Xbox 360's D-pad. But then you go into a 3D section. Now, are you going to go through the trouble of switching to the control stick, which will take at least a second and probably get you killed or something during all that time? Are you going to pause the game while you switch between the two methods of controlling your character? And no, I don't really think that... I think it's best to just stick to one, and the D-pad happens to work out the best for a 3D game. But classic Sonic's version of this is really fantastic too. I love the speed sections like this, where it really goes to show off how fantastic the spin dash is in this game. And I love the platforming, like, don't really see the point of that. Like, where it basically just uses the spin dash as a somersault to get under walls. And, like, they never really did that in the original level. In fact, there's a lot of zones in this game that implement gimmicks that weren't in the original levels. I don't think that's really a way to breathe new life into them when it's literally the same level, but with different level design. Like, it's still the same name, still the same aesthetic. Well, I say that, but this isn't really the same aesthetic as Sky Sanctuary Zone at all. Now, look, I'm gonna start off by saying that I love what they do with it for the most part. Look, I love all the greenery that they have, like all the palm trees, the vines, the grass. I love it. For the most part, it's a beautiful and fantastic looking level. Well, I say that, but it's kind of hard to say that Sky Sanctuary Zone looks beautiful, but it doesn't have the beautiful golden walls in the classic games, where basically it would give this feeling of a mystical ancient temple. And that made sense, because what exactly was Sky Sanctuary Zone? I think it was the place with the Master Emerald altar? Because Knuckles only had the Master Emerald in Hidden Palace as a temporary thing. I think to protect it. I think normally he would put it in Sky Sanctuary Zone, and then it got destroyed, so he can't really use it anymore, and that's why you don't see him in it in SA1. Which sucks, because I think it would have looked really beautiful in SA1. There, they probably wouldn't have forgotten what color it was. And you know, I know some people demonize this as a nitpick, but it doesn't change the fact that it feels like just boring generic ancient ruins when it isn't even the beautiful golden color that was in the original. I don't understand why they changed it. Like, it was such a simple mistake that they could have very simply not made. That's what irritates me. Just like how classic Sonic is not dark blue enough when he was very dark blue in like Sonic 3 and Knuckles and stuff. Like, if you look at that game, he was just as dark blue as he is here. Not to mention like Amy's model kind of bothers me in the cutscenes because her eyelashes like are too large, and more importantly, her eyelids are pink. And I know that they changed Sonic's eyelids to be like blue, and they were only flesh colored in the Dreamcast and Classic era because he was younger, I guess. but I don't think they need to change Amy's eyelashes. But anyways, Classic Sky Sanctuary was a good level. I mean, the clouds launched you with a bit too much momentum, so that was kind of hard to get used to. And I don't really like how the very end of the level basically makes it so that you have to play the level multiple times to get all the red rings. Like, see, that's the perfect demonstration of why Sonic does not really have the level design for collectibles, when there are points of no return. And you've also got the spinning wheels in that level, and it's kind of hard to tell where you should stand on them in order to be able to stand on them, because they go into the background. Like, it's kind of confusing. But now we're in Modern Sky Sanctuary, which is basically a 3D platforming level, but there's also some speed sections like this. And let me tell you, that section is really boring when you don't have any boost because you died and restarted without boost. There is a skill that lets you start out with boost, thankfully. But when it comes to the skill system in this game, I like the concept of it, but it's way too limited. Like, you can only have, like, a certain amount of skills on. Each skill only has, like, it takes up some of the skill meter. So it's not like you can, like, use all of the skills at once, make yourself an incredibly overpowered Sonic. Like, I'm pretty sure even Sonic and the Secret Rings handled it better than that. If I recall correctly, you could use a huge amount of skills in that game all at once. This game has it way too limited. So it's like, okay, you want to have, like, skills that give you better controls. I think those skills should be a default part of Sonic's moveset, but whatever. So you want to have the skills that increases your acceleration up slopes and, like, makes you stop on a dime and land on your feet when you get hurt, which, spoiler alert, that skill doesn't really do anything. Because I equip it, and when I get hit, I still have an extremely long stun animation where Sonic has to sit down and think about what he did. Even classic Sonic has an overly long stun animation. And you know, that's sort of true to the Game Gear games, but not to the Genesis games. He got knocked down and then he immediately landed back on his feet. I don't see the point of that. So, it's like the skill to remove the stun animation doesn't even do anything. I mean, at least you don't have a annoying animation from Unleash where you boost it to a wall and you flatten against it, and then you have to wait for a really long time before you can start running around again. Like it said, if you boost it to a wall, you just stop in front of that wall. Which I demonstrated earlier in the section where it's kind of weird because you're basically told to quick step off the edge of a floor. And that's not really something that's instinctive for you to do. But yeah, there's lots of platforming in this level with which is kind of stiff to control. It's definitely a level that I warmed up to more the more I played it, because when I first played it, I was like, okay, this is boring, I never really want to play this again. I mean, it does make sense that it's very platformy, because it comes from Sonic and Knuckles, which is extremely platformy. So it's like, it's paying homage to that kind of level design.
Thanks for the help. Not that I needed it, but it's good to have my sanctuary back.
It's good that he's mentioning that this is his sanctuary. You know, like that feels nice to hear. They actually explained that Knuckles' favorite food is grapes in this game, which is a nice nod to the Sonic 3
manual. You did a good job back there. Hey, did you gain weight?
So is this supposed to be some sort of time paradox thing where it explains why modern Sonic has lost weight? Because if so, that just messes everything up. Because not only did they make Knuckles look like a blind idiot, but they also tried to explain the modern Sonic design as classic Sonic being insecure about his weight thanks to modern Knuckles, and everything is just so confusing. Like, you know, usually when they have stories with time travel, they tend to establish firm rules, like don't meet your past self, or the universe will explode. And that's good. But Generations just sort of haphazardly puts time travel in the plot, and I think it would have been a lot better if we had it working off two separate timelines. Classic and modern, they never really met up. That way you wouldn't have things like changing. That is pretty cool though, like you actually have anti-Tails in the hub world when you're playing as Tails. I really wish I could play as him. Like this is easily one of my favorite things about Generations, is that on the PC there's all sorts of character mods where you can play as other characters, but they're still fun because they have Sonic's gameplay. And this is one of the few character mods that actually bothers to make some gameplay changes, because you can actually fly. Although the flying is very unintuitive in how it works. Basically, you have to hold down the boost button in midair, and that's how you fly. It's like an air boost, and the flight itself, it's so much better than the flight in all the other games because you have great speed, you have great verticality, you have great distance. The problem is that if you go too high up, I think in my experience when Tails gets tired, he falls through the floor and clips through it and dies. Like apparently Tails getting tired kills you. This is a kind of annoying mission. Like I really hate how the rings will disappear. Like that just, and like you're on a long stretch of land there. Of course you boosted and fell into a lake. That feels like awkward level design. It's also kind of weird how Tails is an air dash. Like they give everyone an air dash and a homing attack in the character mods, which is good because those are good abilities. But yeah, like the Tails mod has come so far from the last time I saw it, when it was just some lame Sonic reskin where Tails' tails didn't even move. Here you can actually fly with him. But there's no classic version of him. So it's not like you press Y and just turn into classic Sonic. You have to have a separate mod made by a separate person to become classic Tails, and he doesn't even fly. And speaking of flying, here's what happens when you try to fly with him. You fall down really far, and then you clip through the floor! But yeah, I think the reason that I failed there was because I wasn't focusing on getting the rings. Because it's kind of hard to, I don't know. I don't understand why they don't just give you the rewards as a result of beating the mission. Why do you have to ring a bell and then tediously try to chase after a music note that tries to run away from you? That's so tedious. Why can't you just... Like, I just don't see the point. I've seen a lot of people being annoyed at chasing after the musical notes. The music notes can give you artwork, and they can also give you songs. And that's something I really love about Generations, is that you can actually change the song that plays in the levels or the boss fights. So that's really awesome. The problem is that you don't have every song from the soundtrack available as something that you can like change the music to, and you don't have all of them unlocked right from the start. And like unlocking songs is very satisfying, but still, I think I would rather have all of them unlocked from the start and have the entire soundtrack to my choice. And another thing is that most of the unlockable songs aren't even remixes; they're just the original songs. Like, why would I ever want to hear the original version of Chemical Plant Zone when, like, all of the remixes are better than it? Like, I would much rather have the original version of City Escape, which sounded, in my opinion, much better because, I don't know, the remixes in City Escape sound too auto-tuned and too fast-paced in the singing to the point where it kind of sounds awkward. Like, they forgot how to sing the song. I mean, I like the fact that it's a duet, like with the two different male singers. Like, that's pretty cool, but I don't know. I guess I'm just I have too much nostalgia for the way it originally sounded, I guess. Playing as Mephiles is pretty cool. You can also play a version of him that has his crystals all purple and glowing. I kind of feel like the level design of the missions gets changed. Or maybe that's just a sort of Knuckles chaotic situation where I'm not familiar enough with the level design yet to recognize when they change it and when they recycle it. But yeah, the mission level design feels different enough. The golden musical notes are the ones that give you the songs, so they're the ones that you really want to get, and I like how they're bigger so it's easier for you to get them. I always get really mad when I get a blue music note because it's just artwork, and it's like, sometimes that works as a giant fuck you to anyone who worked really hard to beat the mission. But yeah, you can glide with Knuckles, which is really cool. You have to use the boost button for it though, which is kind of weird. For some reason you can't boost on every grind room. Like if you're in 2D, like I'm trying to boost here and nothing's happening. A weird thing about Knuckles is that I don't think it's obvious enough that you're boosting with him. Like, it also kind of feels like his boost is restricted to short bursts. Maybe that's just me? I don't know. Like, see? That looks like just a short burst. I don't think it's made obvious enough. I like the explanation that Tails is racing you in a tornado, as opposed to just being a doppelganger. I like the character missions. I'm glad I showed at least one off, because the thing about most Let's Plays of this game is that they tend to show off the character missions and nothing but. So, like, I just showed off the first mission of every zone that I played. Because the thing is that you can choose any mission that you want. As long as you do a mission for each zone. And it doesn't even have to be like classic and modern, like it can be just classic or modern if you want. See, I was confused there because it awkwardly shifted to 3D or 2D, like the camera was tilted, so I kind of went to the right there. But yeah, most of these missions are actually really fun. Also, I love how they actually add a classic Knuckles sprite there. Like I always like it when mods have nice touches like that. Speaking of classic Knuckles, I think it was a huge missed opportunity that they didn't have classic Knuckles as a part of the plot. They didn't even have classic Amy showed up. And even in the character profile of, like, Amy Rose, when you press Y, you can change Tails and Sonic there to their classic selves, but you can't do that for Amy and Knuckles. I just wish that Knuckles' glide worked more like it normally did, and then maybe I would actually use it. I don't know.